Founder and chairman of the Thayer Capital Partners and former campaign manager for President George H.W. Bush, Fred Malik. And here on set, Frances Osborne. She is, remember, the author of The Balder.
Oh, yes.
A runaway bestseller in
I want to know
Britain.
what Frances must be thinking about American politics right now.
Well, and her husband is involved in British politics.
That's right.
As well. We also have Mark Halpern here, Time Magazine, and also, of course, the great Maria Bartiromo. Let's start with Fred Malik. Fred, you are Mr. Republican. What do you think about Dee Dee? Did the Republicans kill themselves in New York 23?
Not at all. I think people are making too big a deal out of New York 23. It was a very arcane system that picked her to be the nominee. She did not represent the center-right majority of that district, and a democratic process evolved where candidates came up and there was a real race, and she dropped out. I think that the real lesson from New York 23 is let's be sure that we have a democratic process in primaries where good candidates can duke it out, can compete on the ideas for the future, and get the best person selected. Not that she was drummed out of the race. She wasn't. Yep. She drummed herself out.
Time Magazine's Mark Halpern. Don't you think most Republicans would rather have this Democrat in for a year than have Dee Dee in for 20 years?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think Fred's exactly right. The people are making a little too much, at least a little too much, of this race. But it's still true that within the Republican Party, there's this debate, which is, are they going to come back to power if they do by being true blue conservatives, or is there a need to be a bigger tent, to be more in the center and to unify? I think what's great for the party now is economics are defining the party. Opposition to Obama on deficits, on spending, on big health care, rather than social issues.
And if you look at the latest Gallup poll that just came out regarding the generic ballot test, would you vote for a Republican or a Democrat? Republicans moving ahead, 48% to 44%. Frances, there seems to be a bit of a conservative trend, not only in America, but also in your home country, Great Britain, and across all of Europe.
Well, you know, the Conservatives are doing well in Britain, but sort of speaking to you as an author, what's really interesting looking at the United States from Britain is that here you all seem to, Obama was elected, and some people aren't totally happy with what happened after all and think that maybe it's a bit of a disappointment. But to us from Britain, it looks like an amazing success. By electing Obama, America's really pushed itself right to the forefront of the countries that are really pushing the boundaries of modernity. It's not just sort of China rising up this new thing. It's America is there. It's got this fantastic new young president. And in May, when my husband and I were asked at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, we thought we have to come over. You know, we have to hear him speak because this is, you know, new and great. And I know from the inside it always looks different from the outside. So if you're not feeling happy from the inside, just say that from the outside.
At least they love us in Luxembourg.
Oh, no,
and that, of course, Maria, is what
it's actually
most concerned
important.
About. I guess. Maria Bartiromo, though, a lot of people very frustrated with what this president's doing at home. As Frances said, as you get a little bit closer to it, suddenly you're saying, well, what's he doing on Afghanistan? What's he doing on health care? He seems to be continuing to punt.
Well, as a country, I think we all wanted change, but at the end of the day, people are afraid of change. And what we've seen is dramatic change in terms of big government, ownership of business, expectations of higher taxes, and I think people are uncomfortable with that from inside. I guess from an outsider, do you think then, Frances, that America is on the ascent?
I think that it is, yes. I do think that it's on the ascent.
I think that's a debate in this country, really whether or not America is on the ascent.
Yeah, I do think it's on the ascent. I know you don't think, some of you don't think you're on the ascent, but from the outside, it's going great.
Besides being new, what has Obama done that has pleased you?
That has pleased me.
Or Europe, we'll say Europe.
Yeah, y'all, as we say in Yorkshire, or all y'all. Well, as we say at Oxford.
I don't know. I mean, the sort of key question at the moment, of course, is Afghanistan, which is a very difficult issue, which I appreciate because my brother served in Iraq. And, you know, that gives you a sort of daily feel of how tough it is and the narrow line it is between soldiers serving out there needing to feel that they're being totally supported at home, but not sort of pursuing a cause. I think we all need to know exactly what's going on.
But that hasn't been done yet. What has he done that makes, from the outside looking in, look so different?
Is it symbolism, mainly?
It's as far as I can tell, you know, the symbolism alone is enough to carry it
Sounds
through.
like you're saying, okay.
Now, hey, let me go to Fred. Fred, speaking of Afghanistan, the president, well, I'll just ask you, do you agree with Dick Cheney that the president is dithering when it comes to Afghanistan?
I think that leaving the troops out there for 3 months without a decision after McChrystal and both Petraeus, with his support, made a recommendation for a troop addition it's just not right. Whether he's dithering or not, I can't say. I think it's an important decision. He should have the time to consider it, but I think 3 months is a little too long. It gives solace to the Taliban. They're watching all this and wondering what kind of support there is. It emboldens them. It dispirits the troops. 3 months is too long to wait to support our generals who made that recommendation. I think you should get on with it and let's go. Let's make a decision.
Hey, Fred, Republican candidates that want to run for president constantly come to you and are begging for your support.
No, they're not, but go ahead.
Okay, they constantly come to you, beg for your support. I wonder, Fred, in 2010 and 2012, is Afghanistan going to be an issue? Is health care reform going to be an issue? Or is it going to be all about jobs?
I don't think Afghanistan will be an issue. I think politics should stop at the water's edge, and we as Republicans are going to support whatever decision the president makes. I think health care will be an issue, but it's related to the economy. This health care bill, which they're trying to say is revenue neutral, certainly is anything but that. With the added cost of the states, the slash in Medicare expenses, the added taxes that it's going to take to support that on capital gains, dividends, and income, all those things add up to $1 trillion more in spending at a time when the economy's not yet out of the woods. Yeah. I think if we learn one thing last week from Bob McDonnell's election, the historic victory he won by 18 points, is he focused like a laser on economic revival and job growth, and that's what ought to be focused on.
And that worked. With that. You know, before we go to break, Francis, let's talk about a wild, beautiful, fearless high priestess of the scandalous Happy Valley set. Your book is doing very well. Someone's going to make this into a movie, and I'm going to see it 10 times.
It's been geared up for the sixth printing here in the U.S. in a few months. So it is. So this is the story of a woman who broke all the rules. She was a glamorous English aristocrat who divorced 5 times and had lovers without number. And after dinner, she made her guests swap partners for the night by playing a variety of games.
Good morning, everybody.
But it's also the story of the tragedy behind the glamour and a sort of mother's mistake and search for fulfillment afterwards.
My
there you go.
I want you to
the Bolter.
Without numbers.
Without numbers.
That would be our political roundtable.
Halprin, though, has a book coming out about the 2008 election that I think is going to be about as scandalous.
We hope there's a lot of news in there without numbers.
Okay. All right. Francis, thank you very much.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you so much, Fred. Greatly appreciate it.
Come back someday soon.
And by the way, everybody does want Fred on their side. He's a big voice in the Republican Party.